Alright, this is take two. Thing. If it doesn't work, then this sucks. So my name is Clint Daniels. We're going to be talking about immigration today and how it affects the U.S. economically and politically. So why would you want to hear about immigration? Well, did you know that there's more than 40 million people living here right now that are from another country? And a research done by the Pew Research Institute has found that there are actually 44.8 million people total that have immigrated to the U.S. Each year, millions of immigrants come in for various reasons. It's a hot topic politically. They've looked at it 100 different ways, and we're going to be discussing that. So, first, let's look up some statistics on diversity. In 2008, they found that Mexico made up 25% of all immigrants. The next largest were China and India, respectively, with 6% each, and then the Philippines at 4%, and El Salvador with 3%. So, in an article written by Daniel Griswold, it looks at various studies and found that immigrants could boost productivity through innovation and entrepreneurship. And it helps. They help by filling important niches in the higher and lower end spectrum of the labor market that the current U.S. supply cannot fulfill. An article written by Center on Budget and Policy Priorities has saw that 1/3 of the workforce in certain industries is occupied by immigrants. So, because of this large volume, they're very integrated into these specific niches and sectors. And it's been seen that when a piece of legislation or a bill passes that affects them negatively, it trickles down and also affects these economic sectors negatively as well. Finally, it talks about the baby boomer generation and how they can help with their retirement over the years. So, how does that work? So the baby boomer population is the largest generation population wise, and as they retire, they have to get on Medicaid and Social Security, which are government trusts, which we need money to trickle back into. And they can help smooth out these bumps through a higher work capacity, which leads to increased capital gains. Therefore, some of these increased gains will trickle back into these trusts to keep them hopefully running indefinitely. And a piece written by the New American Economy has found that immigrants have added 3.7 trillion in housing wealth. It's shown that immigrants usually buy houses in lower income neighborhoods and lower income housing, and it does two things. It helps stabilize the communities and the housing prices, and it helps keep with the ratio of renters to housing owners. Because statistically, when a neighborhood is taken over by people buying houses to rent them out, the renters usually do not keep up with the neighborhoods as well as a family who's going to live there for the next 20 years. So, and now we're going to move on to politics. So, back to the Pew Research Center, they found that 45% of all immigrants live in just three states: California, Florida, and Texas. So, a piece written by The Historical Impact of Immigration on U.S. Political Ideology by VoxEU.org, long title. They have looked, it talks about how through the years, immigrants have localized themselves in areas that usually have pro immigration reform. So, as you can see in New York, they have a big immigrant population. I mean, everybody from everywhere is going there anyway. California has a large Latino population. In a piece written by Obed Manuel and Maria Mendez, it talks about how immigrant voters doubled from 2000 to today. Eligible immigrant voters, sorry. And 10% of those eligible voters reside in Texas. So, it also talks about how the Republican platform in Texas will usually focus on rural white voters, while the Democratic platform focuses on progressive whites from cities and Latino voters. And normally, counties with higher the higher number of immigrants tend to lean pro-immigration, which could affect politics. If you look at the past elections, Mitt Romney and John McCain won Texas by double digits, 16 and 12 points respectively. But in 2020, Trump could barely get past single digits. So maybe that could have an effect on future policies in that region. And finally, on a piece written by The Atlantic titled "Is Texas Turning Blue?" It talks about how Texas has become more and more competitive over the past 20 years, and how the increase in voter turnout among Latinos has basically made Texas more competitive in Republican Democrat elections. And slowly this has chiseled away at what used to be a Republican stronghold. Now we're seeing elections single digit margins for Republicans that used to be double digits easy. And that's our conclusion. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you can hear me because I did this once. I'll send both of them to you. And yeah, look forward next week when I write that persuasive speech. So have fun.